The British had an ambitious plan to end World War I by landing an army on Germany's coast in the Baltic. They even built baby Baltic battle cruisers to do it. Now mainly in Poland, the Pomeranian coast has nice flat beaches and is conveniently close to Berlin. The Baltic project was heavily pushed by First Sea Lord John or Jackie Fisher. You know, Fisher really wanted the Royal Navy to take the lead in strategic thinking and take full advantage of Britain's naval superiority, and not just let the army dominate everything when it came to plans for defeating Germany quickly. And the Baltic plan could be a good idea on paper, right? Steam an overwhelming invasion fleet into the Baltic, land an army, seize Berlin, end the war. No need for the drawn-out, grinding slaughter of trench warfare on the Western Front. The obvious issue is the Royal Navy would be operating right in the Germans' backyard. The Germans could move their heavy battleships quickly back and forth from the North Sea to the Baltic through the Kiel Canal, while the British would have to negotiate the narrow straits between Denmark and Sweden. But Fisher had thought of this, and he was also conscious that Britain couldn't risk the battleships of the Grand Fleet in Baltic operations, so he also pushed for basically an entire new fleet optimized for operations in the Baltic. Ships like the Courageous class, large light cruisers, which were actually small battle cruisers armed with heavy guns. To get past bureaucratic restrictions on new capital ship construction, they had to be called light cruisers to get built. And while they each only had 4 15-inch guns, they were fast. And their shallow draft allowed them to get into parts of the Baltic that would be inaccessible to larger, heavier capital ships. The landing forces themselves would be provided by the British Army, or possibly would include Russian troops. A slightly less ambitious version of the plan was to simply lock down the Baltic, because the existing British blockade only cut off Germany from the North Sea. But successful Baltic operations could also cut Germany off from Sweden. As it turned out, trade with Sweden was pretty vital to Germany's war economy. In the end, there was just too much skepticism, the resources were never available. Fisher's falling out with Churchill, then First Lord of the Admiralty, really didn't help. And the whole Gallipoli debacle didn't exactly inspire confidence in any other plan for a lightning-fast amphibious operation that would definitely win the war early. 2 Courageous class battle cruisers, I mean large light cruisers, were completed though. Courageous and Glorious would later be converted to aircraft carriers. Their 15-inch guns were removed and put into storage, before being brought out of retirement to provide the armament of Britain's last battleship, HMS Vanguard. Convenient really that the total combined guns of 2 large light cruisers are just enough for 1 battleship. I really need to do a proper video on Vanguard, so follow for more.